Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to another terrific day of CSL. I'm Joe Laguitas. I'm joined here today by Fear Dragon. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing wonderful, Joe, and as always, we have an exciting lineup for today, but today's a little bit extra special because this is going to be one of the more important matches from the group stages, Joe. It's going to be one of those matches that could be one of the biggest determining factors of who advances on to the playoffs and who does not.
Yeah, absolutely. We're right there in those kind of final days here of the round robin stage of CSL, and it's going to be really important because these guys are neck and neck. They're tied up. They're in the same group, and we've spawned into our first map. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our first player. Spawning in the top left-hand corner, playing for the Rochester Institute of Technology, we have our dark pink, purple Terran, Poke Bunny.
And his opponent spawning up in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the pink Zerg player. Give it up for Arm Day, also known as Forbolt, representing, of course, UC Irvine as their coordinate.
I forgot the word for purple there. So I don't know.
Worry. It's the first game of the day. Just as I'm sure the players had to warm up a little bit for their first games of the day, I'm sure that you will also gradually remember your vocabulary as time goes on.
Right on. Well, it's going to be a TVZ, and this is a matchup that I know Poke Bunny has kind of had his ups and downs with in the past. Well, when he has those really optimized, hard-hitting 2-base all-ins that he's been so known for, he's been able to do really well. But obviously, removing the Tankovac changed that a lot for him. He's had to change up his playstyle, move towards more macro-focused builds, but we're seeing him play this out on kind of an older map. So I'm curious how that's going to kind of factor into the equation, you know? Habitation stations, short rush distance. It's kind of optimal for hard-hitting attacks. So are we going to see the old Poke Bunny or the new one here?
Yeah, you know what? My money would be more on that old Poke Bunny. Even lately, I feel like I've been seeing a lot more of the old Poke Bunny going for a big amount of 2-base attacks or just trying to end the game with a lot of early aggression. But on top of that, I think that going into this, Poke Bunny is probably going to be the favorite in this entire, if you match anyone from UC Irvine versus Poke Bunny is just going to be the favorite. He is a player that is playing in competitive tournaments, competing with some of North America's finest, and honestly does a pretty good job for himself. Now, Arm Day, also a Grandmaster level player, so he definitely has a shot at taking out Poke Bunny here. He's probably one of the best shots for, of course, their team, but it's still going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, and I think it's actually really important for RIT that Poke Bunny does try to win this first one for his team, because when you have a player like a Poke Bunny in your lineup, I think 9 times out of 10, when you're kind of factoring our paths to victory, how do we cinch that best of 5, you kind of factor in Poke Bunny as an automatic victory. And I think your game plan can get really thrown off if a player like a Poke Bunny comes out who you're just expecting to sweep the opponent, and maybe he loses to something cheeky or he just makes some mistakes. So I think it's going to be really important that Poke Bunny makes sure to start this off with a win for RIT here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's exactly what we were saying. That kind of path to victory, the win condition for the team that has one of those super duper dominant players like Poke Bunny is so much easier, because then, you know what, you can try your best with the 1v1, the second 1v1 as game number 2. But after that, if you can send out that same player in the ace match, you save them for that ace match, and you just say, well, you just have to win a 2v2 or an Archon mode match. One of those two. And we're pretty much set. We're pretty much golden, because if it goes to the ace match, you can rely on that super dominant player. But, of course, you do still have to win one of those other matches. And, of course, I don't think that this is going to be a 100% surefire thing versus Arm Day.
No, absolutely. Whenever you're talking about a player at the caliber of a Grandmaster, they can always take games off of better players if they're especially on point, or maybe he's been looking at Poke Bunny, researching. I don't see anything particularly special coming out of him right now. All of these drone timings, the Baneling timings look normal. That's some extra lings, but not out of the norm for what you would expect to try to defend a third base. And both of these guys appear to be shaping up with a relatively standard play. I say as Poke Bunny's double medevac drop moves out onto the map here.
Yeah, of course, we didn't really talk too much about this, but this was a 2-1-1 opening from Poke Bunny. He's going to have Stim finishing up. He's going to have his double medevacs moving across the map. He's honestly playing this out in a more standard fashion. He is adding on 3 barracks behind this, so he's not going to just be quickly expanding and taking a third, which can be a little bit annoying to defend on this map sometimes, but well, he could get some good damage done over here. Medevacs are getting focus fire down by Armday. Armday doing a really nice job so far. He's losing a lot of Zerglings, and Poke Bunny's doing a good job with the aggression, but I think that Poke Bunny's going to have to back up pretty soon.
Yeah, the build that Armday went for is such a good build for deflecting the 2-1-1. The constant queen production gives you the non-stop queens to take out those medevacs, and we saw that happen. Armday's anti-air was not lacking. Poke Bunny is going to be running away down 1 medevac and a lot of Marines, and that attack was deflected without taking a single bit of economic damage. Just Zerglings, which Armday is happy to trade away for stability and kind of map control on his side of the map.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised as the Widowmine goes off once again, hitting a queen, but not really doing too much more damage than that. But I'm a bit surprised that Poke Bunny was so insistent on pushing it at the front, and once again, he's doing the exact same thing. He's going to end up losing his second medevac. His Marines are going to get surrounded and taken out over here. Armday is in full control of this game, Joe, and I have to wonder, one of the best attributes about Habitation Station is the fact that while you're poking over at this front location, it's very easy to load up your medevacs. If you see all the queens or the Zerglings at the front, you just move straight over to the main base and try and continue the aggression there. But even over there, I really like the fact that Armday has that creep spread going throughout his main base, not just connecting his bases. He has it throughout his entire main base, which makes it a lot easier to react to those drops.
Yeah, and on the kind of inverse of that, when they back out, you can chase the medevacs down easier. It's just a really good awareness overall here. And it looks like Armday is just going to continue to power up with some Lings and keep making a lot of drones behind this. Poke Bunny, on the other hand, feels maybe that he's a bit behind after that first attack didn't go so well, and he's going to be going for the jugular with this tank push here. Pushing up onto creep, going to clean this all up at the front. Try to give himself some more room to move around in here. And Armday is setting up the defense with a 360 surround.
Oh, Siege Tank. 1 Siege Tank unsiege, and it's actually going to absorb quite a few of the Banlink hits. Now Poke Bunny finally engaging off of creep, and he does clean up a majority of the army. This is the ideal time for Poke Bunny to hit, while Centrifugal Hooks is still being researched, while Armday doesn't necessarily have all the things he needs, but gotta be so careful with these medevacs. He's already lost 2 of them earlier on in the game, and now 2 of them very low on health, just because of a Spore Caller that was sieged up aggressively.
Yeah, he is still trying to make something happen here. He has 1 tank left at the back, and those tanks do so much damage, especially when you're shooting from the high ground and you have that kind of vision advantage here. A lot of Banelings being morphed in defensively. Armday needs to make this hold happen. He cannot be losing this third, and it looks like he's actually going to be pulling back here and maybe waiting for some roaches rather to try to take this defense.
Now I think he's waiting for Centrifugal Hooks as now it finishes up. He's going to go in, but oh my god, these Banelings are going to get obliterated off of creep. GG gets called. Poke Bunny does push on forward and takes the game with a very well timed out attack.
Yeah, it was, it brilliantly went for the throat at precisely the moment of vulnerability. He reset that Baneling count before Centrifugal Hooks was finished. And from there, he was just kind of able to leapfrog his remaining tanks and units forward to make that victory happen. So we're going to be right back with our next match, guys. And that's going to be Requiem versus I Love Coloring. Should be another great, pretty high-level match for you guys to check out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up. And all these steps that we take are leading us far away. And all these years are passing each day. Since then we are far away from where we were. We did what we could. We're light years away from where we stood. The road goes on far from it all. We will start from the start. 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 We will start from the start.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CSL. We're about to be hopping into Requiem versus Color here on Overgrowth. Should be a lot of fun here. Before we just get into anything, I want to ask you what your prediction is, Fear Dragon.
This is going to be kind of a hard one to call. I don't necessarily know too much about either of these guys. I've seen little bits of I Love Coloring as well as Requiem, but nothing that super duper stands out. I think that Requiem is technically unranked this season, but I believe in the past, if memory serves me correct, he is at least a former Grandmaster level player. I'd have to double check on that, but we're going to hop into the game and introduce the players to find out what exactly they're going to be up to in this game. As we start up in the top right-hand corner of the map, top of the yellow Zerg player, give it up for I Love Coloring, representing Team RIT, sitting up 1-0.
And his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our pink Protoss playing for the University of Irvine. It is going to be Requiem.
And Joe, it's kind of like what we were talking about before. Even though that game was a little bit more close than I think some people would have anticipated going into that, I've got to say, Warbolt did a great job of really putting the pressure on Poke Bunny, making sure that he was able to pick away at those medevacs, really putting him into an awkward position a couple of times. But Poke Bunny was able to eke out the victory in the end, and that is what matters. because now he's still going to be available for that ace match if it comes down to it. And RIT realistically is just going to be looking to win at least one of the upcoming 3 games. That's all they really need to do to be able to field out Poke Bunny again and probably get a good shot at taking game number, or the 5th game. But we'll see what exactly Irvine has in store for him. Well, Color is going for the proxy hatch, as we noticed before.
But it was a response proxy hatch to the pylon block. I don't think this is like any kind of I'm gonna make stuff out of this and attack you. I think this is just him saying, you want to delay my natural, fine, I'm gonna delay your natural. And because I'm Zerg, I'm a little bit more comfortable taking my 3rd, which he's already looking to do. And it looks like the response to this is just gonna be a late natural from the Protoss player.
Yeah, I think more surprising than anything else is the fact that Requiem not only went for the pylon block, but he also went for the Forge first, which really delays any kind of Zealot or anything that a Requiem is now trying to make. And the Cybernetics core also going to get delayed. Everything is pretty much a little bit delayed for Requiem. And the Zealot is not exactly going to be enough DPS to really... Okay, well, it does actually go for the cancel. I was going to say, you can actually keep that alive, considering he saw... Well, he saw with the Overlord, there was no no cannons coming down. So I actually think that hatchery would have taken quite a bit of time to die very, very slowly.
Yeah, perhaps a bit of a misread from coloring. I love coloring here, who is just now getting his 3rd and natural hatcheries set back up. He was floating a lot of minerals there, so maybe he was having a little bit of indecision, trouble deciding what to do. But it looks like we're going to be moving into kind of a fairly standard game that started off kind of funky as we see Requiem getting out his Stalker. Color is basically going for a pool 3 hatch build, which is not totally common, but I mean it's going to kind of all even out at the end of the day, and I think we're going to get to see these guys maybe do what they wanted to do originally, even if we're taking a weird path to get there.
Well, Requiem is building a gateway on the left-hand side of the map, so he is looking to probably go for some form of a 2-base all-in. With the Twilight Council coming up, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this ends up being some kind of big Adept all-in, maybe a 7-gate or something. But only time will tell. He does have a Stalker out. Okay, well, it's going to be a Dark Shrine instead, so maybe this won't necessarily be a 2-base all-in. This could just be the kind of proxy to get those DTs out a little bit faster out on the map without having to make a Warp Prism, but might even actually expand behind this.
Yeah, I think like the big kind of question we're gonna have to ask is how many DTs does Requiem make? Because if he makes 1 DT, it's not a huge investment, right? They can always be useful later in the game. It's just kind of setting your tech back a bit or setting your economy back a bit. If he makes 4 DTs or 5 DTs, you're really going to be looking to do critical game-ending damage there. Because he's not going to have the Warp Prism to pick it up and go for those Archon drops or anything like that because of the tech paths he's chosen.
Yeah, Overlord comes into the main base, though, for Color, and he manages to get a beautiful scout out on not only the Dark Shrine, but also Resonating Glaze being researched on that Twilight Council. He may still be a little bit in the dark about whether it's Resonating Glaze or Blink. Most likely not going to be charged in most situations, but it's going to give him a pretty good idea that he should be preparing for some kind of big attack.
Yeah, and now we're going to see a little bit of Adept Harass come out of Requiem here. Going to get right on top of this Queen and start trying to DPS it down. No, actually changing targets. Picking off one of the drones, and he's going to be looking to shade over to the natural of I Love Coloring. But I Love Coloring has a lot of Lings in place already, and this is just a really nice defensive position.
Yeah, these Lings are going to be able to clean up all those Adepts A-okay, no problem. I mean, you mentioned that one, I think, drone ended up dying over there, but that's really not worth, I think, losing all of those Adepts. A couple of DTs have been warped in, but they immediately transform into an Archon. You know what, Joe? I'm starting to think that maybe Charge wouldn't have been the worst idea. If he really wants to just go for a big frontal attack and not take a third, then Charge let Archon all in wouldn't be the worst idea, but this is going to be so weird. Archon Adept all in. But there's not even that many gateways. I don't know how well this is going to actually work out.
Yeah, I almost wonder if he wanted to be going for DTs, and with that Adept run by, he saw that there were already Spore Crawlers in position, and he's saying, okay, what on earth can I do with the tools that I have? And the answer that he's kind of cobbled together is this very unusual looking assault that we might be seeing in a moment here.
Yeah, but I mean, this is very much going to be a heavily dedicated attack. Requiem doesn't even have his 4th gas geyser. He doesn't have a 3rd expansion. And of course, Color knows it. He came in with an Overlord and saw the gas count. He sees that there's still no 3rd expansion. There's got to be nothing going through his mind except I need to make units. I need to continue to get up defenses. He's making Banelings, which actually may work out really well. But if it lands on the Archons instead of the Adepts and Zealots, then this could actually go very, very awry.
Well, this attack is going to be starting here. The Lings of I Love Coloring absolutely disappear under the fire of those Archons. And with that Spore Crawler going down, that's going to be no detection. Okay, there is one Overseer. That's very important for I Love Coloring if he wants to make that hold, because I do believe there's a DT in the mix here. And we're going to see some Lings streaming all around this, but the 3rd hatch goes down, the Banelings go off ineffectively, and this is going very well for Requiem.
Yeah, Roaches are going to be coming out pretty soon. Remember, Color still has 42 workers, but behind this, Requiem is taking a 3rd expansion, and Requiem actually is also starting to back up. I don't know if Coloring can really punish him at this point anymore. I think that losing that 3rd expansion was a little bit too much, and he lost not just the 3rd expansion, he lost most of his units. So even though the Zergons will do a nice attempt at potentially canceling this 3rd, Mothership 4 over here with Fortune Overcharge should be enough to push them back.
Yeah, now we're going to see that position that's so hard for a Zerg to play in, where you're on behind economy in your opponent. You don't have 3 hatches for that production. And I Love Coloring's choice is going to be to retake that 3rd. And that's what I guess you would call the...
Oh, these Banelings in the middle of the map.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal to be losing expensive units like that when you're already in a bit of trouble here. I almost feel like I Love Coloring needs to pull out something crazy, you know? If you just kind of play standard in this kind of situation, 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose if you're about as good as your opponent. And I think we're looking at players of roughly equal caliber here.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, a DT also at the 3rd, forcing out more Overseers when you're already in a unideal economic position, and you've already invested into 2 Overseers, having to make a 3rd and a 4th just because, oh god, the DT's here and I don't have detection nearby. Where are my Overseers? Gotta morph some more in, but it just ends up being a big wasted gas and mineral investment. You can see Color doesn't really have any other form of transitionary tech. He's getting out a couple of Ravagers now. He's finally getting up Roach speed, but this is just going to be a really difficult position to play back from.
Yeah, and I think one thing we're seeing out of I Love Coloring right now, unfortunately for him, is just a bit of... Oh, you hold that thought, because there's a huge attack coming down on this left side flank. Archon's going to be buffering up the damage at the front. These Ravagers doing a good job of dealing with it.
Yeah, some of the Banelings do manage to make their way to the back line as well, connecting with some of those units, and it does look like it's going to be a pretty good cleanup. That was a lot of expensive units from Requiem. Now, Requiem still has the better late game, he still has the better transitionary tech and everything else along those lines, but if he can't replenish that army very quickly, and I think his gateway count didn't actually go up that much higher. He has 7 gateways, which is okay, but he does have charge as well. Maybe with some Fortune Overcharges he can still hold this, but this is going to get a bit dicier.
Yeah, I think this is going to be I Love Coloring's moment to like make a decision and go in hard on it. Nothing but units on the production tab, and I think that's absolutely the right call here. Some Morphling's going to come out and get kind of the preemptive scout, taking a look at what's going on here. Photon Overcharge does come down. These Roaches are going to start dealing damage from the back. Banelings are waddling in. They're going to be trying to take down these pylons as quickly as possible. The only remaining Archon is going to fall. Another one being morphed in, but that's going to be vulnerable during that process. The Ravager shots are going off, but it looks like Requiem has held this attack without suffering economic losses.
Oh, well, so far, but there are still reinforcements streaming across the map. It's not over yet, but it's definitely looking much better for Requiem than it was a minute ago. Those Fortune Overcharges really coming in handy, and I love the fact that he didn't just plant down one pylon, he was planting down multiple pylons during the attack, so he'd have reinforcing pylons even after his forward ones got knocked out.
Yeah, it was a really nice way to handle it. Not exactly a Sim City, but the same kind of defensive building idea here. And now if we take a look at the situation, Requiem is ahead on workers. He's got the better tech. I think he's just ahead in every way at this point. And I think I Love Coloring's only chance here is to maybe try to lock down, drag this game out, and pull off some impressive defensive maneuvers.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that this is going to be something that he can't just play standard. He can't just play normal. and hope that things turn around, because that's just not the way that StarCraft works. When you're playing from behind and you're playing against a smart opponent like Requiem, who doesn't just sit around back at home and say, okay, well, let me get up to 200 or 200 supply and then come try and kill you, giving you ample space to try out something new. No, Requiem has been continuously pushing out across the map, poking and prodding, and even though sometimes he does overcommit a little bit, it is one of those things where you just don't give your opponent an opportunity to do something super creative or super crazy with that extra time. And Requiem, again, he's moving out for another push out to try and potentially end the game.
I do think that this could be I Love Coloring's fight to try to take here if he can make it happen correctly. Banelings are going to crash up into the gateway buffer here. Corrosive Biles need to be on point. They need to slam into those expensive units here. The Ravagers are running out of buffer, but they have managed to chase this army away. At least for the moment, it's going to be looking to be on the defensive. But now that all these Zealots are streaming in from the back, I just don't think there's any way that I Love Coloring takes this fight in a good way.
Yeah, the Archons are still alive. At least 2 of them are, and all of these Immortals are just wailing away from the back with 8 kills, 3 kills, and 17 kills on that weakened Immortal. And you can see if Color loses this expansion and can't hold that fourth, that's just going to be lights out, no questions asked. And Immortal even actually just focus firing down the hatchery because he knows he doesn't even need it in the fight anymore. He's basically won the full frontal fight, and Color just doesn't have an army to speak of anymore. He's half the supply of his opponent.
Yeah, and now that Requiem is going to move over to this 4th base, I think this is going to be the game here. There's no way on earth that Color can contest this. The army's just too small, and here we go. This base is going to fall. Requiem is probably content to just go home after that. He doesn't need to try to press into any super fortified positions, take a risk like that. At this point, he can just kind of do whatever he wants, and he's likely to win this game.
Yeah, and he may still decide to push out just because he's killed off so many units, and I'm sure he's just thinking, well, victory is in my grasp. Why not just continue to go for it? And yes, there are some dangers with that, but he's got enough raw production, I think, at this point. He's still sitting on those 7 gateways. He's got double robos that he actually has a couple idle units inside of his main base, but I think after he rallies in a couple more Archons, as he already has quite a few, and he gets that War Prism in the mix, I just straight up don't think that Color has an economy to back up the unit production. It's not like before where a really good engagement could turn this around. He would need a miracle engagement, and I think that's just not going to happen. Numerically, it feels impossible.
Yeah, and it's just, we're seeing the final bits of Color's army disappearing. I think any moment now we're going to see the GG being called out. There it is, and that is going to be game number 2 in UCI versus RIT.
Yeah, managed to tie up the series 1-1, giving themselves a little bit more hope as they move in. But I really do want to stress that I think the best chance that UC Irvine has is if they are able to take the 2v2 and the Archon mode match. Because again, it's not to oversell Poke Bunny or anything, but he is probably one of the strongest players in the CSL right now. I think that there are a couple other players in contention with, for that kind of top spot. Like you have Jon Snow, you have Semper, etc. But Poke Bunny is absolutely one of those players that are very high up there. And taking him to an ace match is going to be a really difficult spot to put yourself in.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back with Flex and Leg Day versus Icarus and Griffith in our 2v2. I do want to give a big thank you to Asus for helping to make this happen. They make great gaming peripherals, routers, keyboards, laptops, all that kind of stuff. Be sure to check them out if you're in the market for any gear. They help to make the CSL happen. And don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
Sweet. Whew. That feeling when
All of your wind has gone, and all of the power you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sound where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up. When you reach the end, will you wait for me? Holding out a torch that's lighting up the way. I can't run and I can't crawl, but as soon as I scale your castle walls, I'll try to find you. 'Cause I know I see it all tonight. Oh, I see it all tonight. I watch you come alive. I feel the world around us. I see it all tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CSL. We're about to be hopping into our 2v2 between Leg Day and Flex, or rather, between Leg Day and Flex and Icarus and Griffith. This is UCI versus RIT, and the score is currently all tied up 1-1, so I would say this is a very important game.
Yeah, but here is the one thing I'm going to actually say right now, Joe. It's the fact that, again, RIT's big objective right now, knowing that they do have Poke Money still up their sleeve for that ace match, is to win either the 2v2 or the R-coded match. And I do feel like the 2v2, from what I've seen, may be a good bet for them right now, because they are facing off. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and introduce these players, and I'll explain a little bit more about them. Spawn down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have a player that is currently in Silver League, I believe, according to his portrait. As if I saw correctly, it's going to be the pink Protoss player, Leg Day. And his teammate down here in the bottom side is a Diamonds level player. But he's apparently off racing Terran, and he learned Terran today. It's the Teal Terran Flex, both representing UC Irvine.
And their opponents in the top left-hand corner, we have our yellow Protoss. It's going to be Griffith. And our orange Zerg player, Icarus.
So, Joe, I'm not gonna lie. I can't always tell when players are just trolling and they're saying things like, I just started playing Terran today, and when they actually have just started playing Terran today. Because I'm not gonna lie to you about this. My very first and one of my only CSL matches that I got to play when I was at Purdue University, I had to off race as Terran because I was a fill-in for somebody else who could not make it that day. But we had already committed to our races, so I had to learn how to play Terran, and I did a 3 racks all in.
Did it work?
We did win. We won. Thanks to my teammate hard carrying us because I forgot Stim.
Oh, wow. Well, I think you're right when you say that RIT does have a distinct advantage here. I know that Griffith, he wasn't ranked this season, but he is a Masters player. So it looks like we're looking at a Masters and a Diamond player playing against a Diamond and a Silver player. But
it's a Diamond player off racing.
Yeah, a Diamond player potentially off racing. So there's a lot of dynamics going on there. But I think the one thing in 2v2s is if you have a sharp build, especially in a map like Sludge City that's so funky with the extra gold bases and stuff, if you play a lot of team games, you can just have a really sharp attack, and sometimes that can beat out just better 1v1 mechanics because you can make so much stuff appear and hit them so hard that if they don't know exactly what to hold, they just can't hold it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We do actually have Flex throwing down 2 extra barracks as he also tries to get up a command center, but he's going to end up losing the SCV. Oh, God, loses the SCV to the scouting drone. So the command center is going to get delayed a little bit. Oh, God, now another SCV is under attack. If this drone actually gets a second kill on Flex's SCV count, this could be, I'm not going to say game-ending, but devastating. Okay, well, there's the second kill. Joe, can he get a third? Can he delay this factory? I don't think he can delay the factory, but he's already done enough damage.
This is the hero drone that Gotham needs coming in. The SCV is going to turn around and fight. This is a duel to the death. A third? Oh! The Reaper save coming in with those pistols. Going to be saving his SCV buddy. But that is a really nice start for RIT here.
Yeah, and you have to remember, RIT is also going for a 4-gate, and we also got a Baneling Nest and a Roach Warden coming down for Icarus. So it's going to be hyper aggression from here on out. There is an expansion for Icarus of the gold, so he can kind of transition a little bit, but Protoss player Griffith is going to be more or less all in. It looks like they're actually saying, you know what, screw the Terran player. We've already actually done enough damage delaying that command center, delaying the barracks. We're going to force out some foot overcharges, poking at his his ally, and see, oh, there's really not a whole lot here.
Well, it looks like they're now going to be pushing up this ramp hard. And actually, Flex hasn't resumed any of those buildings, so he's not going to have the benefit of that extra production. And it looks like Flex is just going to fall here as RIT continues to power on up this ramp, taking out building after building. Actually, another barracks does finish up here, but he doesn't have the resources, or the APM rather, to be making these Marines, I guess. And there's just nothing left for Flex as RIT steamrolls him. It's going to be all on his partner Leg Day to try to make this happen.
You know, Joe, it's this kind of miraculous thing where it doesn't matter what scene or community, what part of the world you're in, when you play StarCraft and you play Protoss and you are behind, there is a mantra that everybody instinctively follows. When behind, Dark Shrine. Leg Day is pinning all of his hopes, going for the Dark Shrine. He's got the photon cannons on the high ground. I don't actually even think the photon cannons are going to be enough. He's already lost his mothership core. He's having to remake it now, so he's not going to have any photon overcharges available. But it does seem like Flex is going to lose every single unit and building he had on the map. I think that he is actually straight up eliminated.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen this in a 2v2 before. I do believe that he's allowed to sit around and watch the remainder of the match from the perspective of his teammate.
He can also share control. He can share control with his teammate and help with the micro. That is the extent about what he can really do right now.
So we might be seeing a preview for the Archon match coming up here if these guys do share control. You know, I like the Dark Shrine out of Leg Day. Every now and then you gotta throw a Hail Mary, and there's no Hail Mary like blinking DTs.
Yeah, we'll see if he actually finishes Blink. Blink takes a really long time to research, and the Banelings have already crashed on in, taking out a majority of the cannons. One of the cannons even gets depowered from the pylon going down. Only one cannon left. A DT does get warped in. It will eventually technically clean up everything here, but the pylons are all probably going to be gone by that point.
Yeah, and the reinforcements are just continuing to stream across the map here. Ling's getting around all of these buildings. The Dark Shrine is not going to be allowed to finish its research. And these Stalkers are just going to wipe out the rest of the economy here. I think that's going to put another one in the bag for RIT, putting them in a very advantageous situation to win this map, and most likely be moving on to the playoffs if they can secure the series.
Yeah, DTs make their way into the main base of Icarus, but they're not actually on an attack move or anything, so they end up idling for a while the Overseers finish up, and both DTs have been cleaned up, as well as pretty much everything on the other side of the map except for one DT. Sure, oh god, he's not even gonna get the Photon Overcharge off, and the cannon's gonna go down as well.
Yeah, and absolutely everything is falling here. I guess he is maybe gonna force these Stalkers out with the single DT, patiently swiping away at these Stalkers. But no, that's gonna be the GG. Flex calls it. Icarus responds in kind, and I think Leg Day is maybe just hanging around to... Yeah, he wants to get the GG out of everyone.
Yeah. GG, as you said, gets called, and RIT goes up 2-1 in this best of 5, and are 1 game away from claiming victory in this best of 5.
You know, Fear Dragon, with that incredible teamwork that the RIT guys showed, Griffith and Icarus, hitting that attack really sharply, just a really coordinated, sharp attack, what would you say about giving them the Band Together award for this evening?
I think that'd actually be pretty accurate and apt. And even though you might kind of say, well, oh, they were playing against players that, I mean, they did a good job. They put up a valiant effort, but again, they were going to be a little bit outclassed moving into that. Silver League player and someone who is off racing is definitely going to have a hard time versus players like that that RIT were already fielding. but it was a very well executed attack. The Forgate was on point. The follow-up Zerglings, and also even just having that gold expansion behind everything was actually really well done. I think the Zerg player Icarus also had his lair done in time, so he was able to get out the Overseers to help defend against the DTs. Just everything kind of fell in place together with each other. So I would absolutely agree with that Band Gaming award, Joe.
All right, guys, and be sure to check out Band Gaming. Of course, they're one of the sponsors that help make the CSL possible. Great social features, good for clans, good for organization, and a CSL team, obviously. They're great to help you put that together and make sure you're getting all your practice and matches in, because you don't want to be no-showing. It's on the Google Play Store and, of course, the Apple App Store. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with our Archon match.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up. And all these steps that we take are leading us far away. And all these years are passing each day. Since then we are far away from where we were. We did what we could. We're not years away from where we stood. The road goes on far from it.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CSL. We're about to be hopping into our Archon match here. Going to be a terrific ZVZ on Echo. I am super excited for this one. I love a bit of ZVZ, and I know you were super excited about it as well, Fear Dragon.
You know what? ZVZ has definitely been pretty interesting lately, but a lot of those games that I've been loving of ZVZ have been on Abyssal RIT, which isn't actually in the map pool for this. And we're going to Echo, as you mentioned before. And this is one of the more old school maps, but here's the thing, Joe. The caveat of how everybody's going to be looking at ZVZ and saying, oh god, it's another ZVZ. This is an Archon mode match. This is where ZVZ gets super duper action packed and actually really, really hectic.
Yeah, you are right about that. Well, we're going to be hopping into our map here and introducing our players. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, playing for RIT, we have our pink Archon. It's going to be Armday and Flex.
And spawning up in the top left-hand corner of the map, going for the early pool. Give it up for the orange Zerg players, Yankees and Color. And I believe Yankees and Color are the ones representing RIT. I believe.
Oh,
Armday
yes,
and
you're
Flex
absolutely
are
right
representing
about
UC
that.
Irvine.
You're absolutely right about that. I got a bit lost in the alphabet soup there of university names. Now
Yeah,
I think. Sorry.
I was gonna say, we really quickly before these pools and the aggression pumps starts up, I did want to really quickly give a little bit of context. We already talked a bit about Flex. He is a Silver League player, I think.
Platinum.
Right? Is that no? Sorry, he was Platinum. Flex was a Platinum League player. Leg Day was the Silver League player from the last game. So it's gonna be a Platinum League player and Armday, who's in Grandmaster, pretty good, versus Yankee, who I believe said in the lobby beforehand that he is a random diamond, which is actually a really impressive feat. And he's paired up with Color, who I think we established earlier. We weren't sure what.
Colors
what-
Masters 1.
He was Masters. Okay, so this could actually be a really, really close match.
Yeah, we're going to see kind of RIT having the weaker strong player and the stronger weaker player compared to their opponents. So it's going to come down to teamwork for RIT to execute this successfully, I think. And they've chosen a build that gives them a lot of aggression, but so have their opponents. The defense is going to be ready to greet all of these sixlings walking up this ramp here. And I think all RIT can do is just kind of back out and try to get out there without losing any of their lings.
Yeah, but the important thing is they see all these Zerglings actually at a really good time because they're going to make it out. I think they should be able to make it most of the way home right before Zergling speed finishes up. And at least they can rally in additional Zerglings so that they should have overwhelming numbers. Zergling speed is about 12 seconds away, but these Zerglings for Team RIT are going to make it home in time. They're going to have that Queen backup.
Yeah, the Queen, potentially a Spine if this cuts into that kind of back and forth ping pong aggression that we can see in ZVZ. And the Spine does start. Zergling speed is done, but the hatch lead is huge here for RIT. They just need to be holding on here, not losing this hatch, and they'll be in a very good position.
Yeah, Zerglings are trying to make their way around. I think that we may end up seeing UC Irvine, make a couple of Banelings and try and just go for the big bust. And they are committed to making this aggression work and winning off of this one base, because the longer this game goes on, the more of those larva injects are going to be paying off, the more queens are going to be popping out, making it even more difficult to make work. But here we go, Banelings charging on in. Spinecrawler takes care of 2 of them, and the Queen takes care of the rest of them.
Yeah, it's so hard to cost-effectively engage into Queens and Spine Crawlers with slow Banelings, just because the range of them allows you to, like, just kind of whittle them down for such a long time. It zones them out. It prevents them from getting those good connections that they really, really want to be getting on top of the Zerglings. And we just see RIT continuing to power up their defenses, cranking out Lings, cranking out Zerglings. A second rush is going to come in here, and they're targeting down that Spine Crawler right away.
Beautiful Baneling hit over there from UC Irvine. That actually might turn the tide a little bit. There's a Spine Crawl in the main base, but it's getting focus fire down so quickly. And it seems like the main base may end up taking some pretty substantial damage. Most of the drones have transferred over to the natural expansion, but that does mean even the Queens in the main base are going to be pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, there's only a couple of slow Zerglings here to buffer for this Queen. It is going to be caught. The Zergling count is so low for RIT, and they're finding themselves in a really desperate position. Color even calling GG, and I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, Armday and Flex tying up the series once again 2-2 with a very, very heavy bit of aggression off of that one base. And I'm not going to lie, it looked really, really bad for them for a moment. It just seemed like RIT was not going to be broken at all, but they managed to get one big Baneling hit and everything changed. That is the big moment in those Archon mode matches. And sometimes, you know what, that can come down to a bit of miscommunication. Who is controlling the Zerglings? One person's trying to run them up and to the right, the other person's trying to run them down to the left, and you both try and do opposite ways of trying to get away from those banelings, and you just end up meeting in the middle ground and stand right on top of them and eat the big one. And I feel like that may be what happened there.
Yeah, well, no matter how they did it, congratulations to UCI for bringing this to our final ace match. Don't go anywhere, guys. When we come back, we're going to be revealing the final 2 players in this match here, and we'll be right back.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up. And all these steps that we take are leading us far away. And all these years are passing each day. Since then we are far away from where we were. We did what we could. We're not years away from where we stood. The road goes on far from it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CSL. This is going to be our ace match, our final match here tonight. Both these teams have chosen out the player they feel is the best to try to close the deal here and take their team potentially to the playoffs in this oh so important match. So we're going to jump right in without further ado and introduce our first player.
Indeed. Spawning down here in the south side of Vonnie Research Station, our ace match is going to be the purple Terran player representing Team Sloth Esports as well as RIT. Give it up for Poke Bunny.
And his opponent in the top middle of the map here, we have the blue Protoss player for UCI. It is going to be Requiem. So right off the bat here, I think this is probably going to be a difficult battle for Requiem to face. I think he's going to be racking his brain for any kind of clever builds, crazy tricks, just things he might know that can potentially kill a player that is well, one of the best Terrans in North America here.
It's hard for me to disagree with you, Joe, when, to put it in Requiem's words, the way that he declared he was going to be the next player is, I volunteer as tribute to Poke Bunny.
Yeah, it's a really tough situation to be in. We're not by any means disparaging Requiem as a bad player. I mean, obviously the guy, I
feel like Requiem is disparaging himself more than we are.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy's been in Grandmaster League, right? So we're working with someone who is not a player of Poke Bunny's caliber, but there's always that outside chance that if you have your dirtiest, memeiest build and they haven't seen it before, you can catch someone off guard. But I think it's going to need to be clever more so than just relying on kind of mechanics or going toe-to-toe with him on an even footing here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Requiem has been in Grandmaster. I think that was one of those things I said earlier on, saying I have this feeling like I've seen him around, and I think that he's been in Grandmaster, but I know he's at least a minimum Masters League player, so he does still have a shot, and we did see that Poke Bunny is very much a mortal player. He suffered a couple of losses in his first match versus Armday. Granted, Armday also a GM player, but you know what? Sometimes all you have to do is have a day where you are playing super on point and your opponent is not playing very on point.
Well, a very quick Stargate, going to be opening things up here for Requiem. Not a proxy or anything, so it's still going to have to go across Vanny, which is a pretty long, narrow map here. But a Stargate is one way to try to catch your opponent off guard. Unfortunately for Requiem, this Reaper should be able to get a full scout off on everything here.
Well, you know, the Adept is going to be able to push this back, and with some good pylon placements, that Stargate is actually going to be very, very difficult for this Reaper to scout out, so it will not be able to get back over there. Because remember, it has to make it through a Photon Overcharge if Requiem decides to throw it out there. But Reaper does move in at the front, and there, oh my god, baits out the Photon Overcharge. Really well done by Poke Bunny, and of course, even keeps his Reaper alive.
Yeah, but now that Oracle's going to be finishing up, Poke Bunny right now has one Widowmine in kind of a hidden position tucked behind his factory and command center, but his mineral line is currently pretty exposed, so an Oracle could do significant amounts of damage here if he doesn't set up defensively, if he doesn't see it coming.
Oh man, the Reaper makes its way back into the main base. It's going to actually be able to get a scout out on that Stargate. If he kept going that direction, he doesn't though. And it does seem like that Reaper will eventually get cleaned up, but seeing only one Adept and one Mothership Core should already be sounding some alarm bells. And I think, yeah, Poke Bunny knows it. He's already got his Widowmine reburrowing inside his main mineral line. He takes out the Oracle.
Yeah, that was not how Requiem wanted that to go. Poke Bunny lost 4 SCVs, I think, from that attack. No, just 1. Oh, geez, that is less than ideal for Requiem, who's now going to be having to deal with a counter drop while producing off of just 1 gateway, I believe, here. And honestly, Poke Bunny could do massive, massive damage.
Oh, absolutely. He's also getting up a tech lab on his starport behind this, and I am just scared to think about what he's going to be doing with that. But the Widowmine drop alone is going to be pretty difficult to deal with, considering the Mothership Core is kind of out of position and not close enough to any pylons. He can now Photon Overcharge, but he might end up losing the Mothership Core.
Yeah, that Mothership Core is going to go down. This single probe is going to tank that mine shot. Good play there out of Requiem, but now he's going to need to fend off this drop with just a tiny handful of gateway units. Poke Bunny is forced to pick off here, but Requiem has already taken some losses.
Yeah, he is finally finishing up that robotics facility, so he'll be able to get out an observer, eventually be able to deal with that Widowmine. But he's not even starting up the observer because he's busy dealing with the 4 Marines in his mineral line that are killing off even more workers. This is already theoretically game-ending damage right now, Joe.
Yeah, Poke Bunny did such a great job of yo-yoing between the vulnerable spots of Requiem there, and now it looks like Requiem is struggling to just try to find something he can do. His choice is going to be to make another Oracle. Going to be using that for the detection initially. Revelation going to miss that Widowmine because it re-burrowed. This is just painful to watch.
Yeah, he didn't realize that the Widowmine had already repositioned itself, so it's going to end up losing a lot of energy on that Oracle that could have been energy used in being aggressive again, or even just, again, like actually killing off the Widowmine. But the Marines unload once again, just going to try and focus fire down as many of these probes as possible before he backs out of there, and is going to be following this up with a big push across the map which is actually, I say it's a big push, but it's not even a very large push. But compared to what Requiem actually has out on the map right now, it is a big push.
Yeah, Requiem is just in so much trouble. Look at Poke Bunny's supply. It's skyrocketing up to nearly double that of his opponents. Requiem's single Adept is going to run into this and have one of those moments that's like, oh god no, oh god no. And that Adept does go down. That's going to send off every alarm bell Requiem has. If this was Warcraft 3, he'd be ringing the call to arms bell to get his workers all armed up to get into this fight. But this is just going to be a really tough hold here for Requiem.
Yeah, I mean, the sentry there is nice, but it immediately gets picked off, so no force field is going to be used over here. Well, he warps in 2 more sentries, it seems like, but Poke Bunny can honestly just unload his units directly on top of all these Stalkers and the Adepts, and he'll probably still be okay. I don't even know, is there even a Mothership Core still? There is a Mothership Core, but it's sitting at the natural, and it's not going to push an overcharge in time to kill off the Widow Mines.
Yeah, we see probes falling to that. Poke Bunny, with the high ground vision from those medevacs, is able to target down the sentries, and now he should just be able to push cleanly up this ramp. One final Adept Warpin is going to come down, and that's actually going to be enough to push Poke Bunny away for the moment, but Poke Bunny is still just steamrolling ahead in supply here, whereas Requiem is struggling to deal with everything.
Yeah, Requiem, I mean, this is one of those moments, Joe. When behind Dark Shrine may not be the worst option in the world, but even then, it's not going to be enough. GG gets called. Poke Bunny takes the series for his team. RIT goes up 3-2 and is going to be taking a little bit of a lead in those group stages.
Yeah, big congratulations to them. That's going to be a very important victory for making it into the playoff stages, which we are rapidly approaching here, guys. That's going to do it for our broadcast tonight. But we have some things that we want to let you know before we start our sign off. So first off, the CSL is hiring a social media manager. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to help out the CSL, you can go to csstarleague.com and they'll have more information on what the job is, how many hours it'll take, all that kind of stuff. So just head on over to the website if you want to check it out. And there's a pretty cool LAN coming up. It's going to be the Midwest Campus Clash. $25,000 on the line for League of Legends. It's going to be April 8th at Columbia College, Missouri, and you can sign up until February 22nd. So that means that today and tomorrow are the last days to sign up, guys. Go ahead and get signed up. That's for the qualifier. That's going to start on March 5th. And if you're watching in chat and you're interested in signing up, if you like League of Legends and StarCraft, because all esports are awesome, just go ahead and throw the command down Clash in chat and you can learn more.
Absolutely. And of course, be sure to check out our wonderful sponsors. Band Gaming, you guys have seen a couple ads from them. They are a great social media platform to organize your clubs for the CSL, for After Hours Gaming League, for whatever else you're doing. Use it to try and organize your raids, even if you're playing some of those MMOs with some of your friends at college. But of course, big love also goes out to Twitch, who make a lot of CSL possible. And of course, Asus, who do provide quite a few of the monitors, the routers, the laptops, etc. And if you want to check those out, be sure to go to their website and see if you find anything that you might like there.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to be it for us. I'm Joe Laguitas. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Joe Laguitas. Fear Dragon is on all social media as Fear Dragon 64. And until next time, thanks for watching the CSL.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. dark.